The year was 2023, and I, a young, ambitious investigative journalist named Clara, found myself staring at a dusty, faded map of the Pacific Northwest. My fingers traced the outline of what should have been a small, isolated settlement deep within the Cascade Mountains, a place called Oakhaven. But on every modern map, Oakhaven simply didn't exist. It was a blank space, a forgotten echo in the vast wilderness. My journey began with a single, cryptic tip-off, an old, yellowed newspaper clipping from 1987, detailing a series of inexplicable disappearances in a remote logging community. The article, barely a paragraph long, spoke of entire families vanishing without a trace, leaving behind untouched homes and unanswered questions. The official explanation was a mass migration due to economic hardship, but something about the brevity and lack of follow-up gnawed at me. My editor, cynical but intrigued, gave me a week. "Find something," he'd said, "or find another job." The drive itself was a descent into isolation. Paved roads gave way to gravel, then to barely discernible tracks swallowed by towering fir trees. The air grew colder, heavier, carrying the scent of damp earth and ancient pines. My phone signal died miles back, leaving me entirely dependent on the handwritten directions an old archivist had grudgingly supplied. Finally, after hours of navigating winding, overgrown paths, the forest canopy parted, revealing a clearing. And there it was, Oakhaven. It wasn't a ghost town in the traditional sense, ravaged by time and decay. Instead, it felt preserved. Homes stood intact, paint peeling but still clinging to siding. A general store, its windows dark, still had faded advertisements plastered on its wooden facade. A rusted swing set creaked faintly in the breeze in what must have been the town square. It was as if time had stopped the day the last person left. Or perhaps, the day they vanished. My first few days were spent meticulously documenting everything. I photographed every detail, from the half-eaten meals left on kitchen tables to children's toys scattered in yards, frozen in time. The eerie stillness was almost deafening, broken only by the distant calls of unseen birds and the whisper of the wind through the tall grass. There was a palpable sense of abandonment, but also something else, a lingering presence that prickled the hairs on my neck. One evening, as dusk painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, I discovered the town's small cemetery. Most headstones were old, weathered, dating back to the early 20th century. But then I found a cluster of newer ones, all dated within a few years of 1987. And not just individual stones, entire family plots. The Andersons, the Millers, the Changs. All gone. And no explanation. No cause of death. Just names and dates. It was in this cemetery that I first heard it, a faint, almost inaudible humming, like a lullaby carried on the wind, but with an unsettling, disharmonious quality to it. I dismissed it as the wind, or perhaps my own imagination, fueled by the isolation. My breakthrough came on the third day, in the local library. It was a tiny building, filled with dusty books and local records. Hidden beneath a pile of old tax documents, I found a series of handwritten journals. They belonged to the town's former doctor, Dr. Elias Thorne. His entries began normally enough, detailing the mundane ailments of a small logging town. But as 1987 approached, his tone shifted. August 14, 1987. Peculiar symptoms among several residents. Listlessness, persistent headaches, a strange, profound sense of detachment. They speak little, stare blankly.
September 3, 1987. Mrs. Henderson's family. All of them. Gone. No note. Just gone. The same listlessness before. The humming, it grows louder for me too. The humming. He'd heard it too. My heart pounded. I reread the entry, a chill running down my spine. The journal continued, each entry growing more desperate, more erratic. Dr. Thorne described a growing apathy, a collective slowing down of the town's pulse. People would stop mid-sentence, their eyes glazing over, only to resume as if nothing had happened. He wrote about a recurring dream he had of standing in a vast, silent forest, bathed in an unnatural, pulsating light. The last entry was a desperate plea, barely legible. October 1, 1987. The humming is constant now. I see them. They walk towards the light. The forest, it calls them. I feel it, pulling. Don't look at the light. The journal ended abruptly. No mention of where Dr. Thorne went, or what the light was. That night, as I lay in my sleeping bag in the deserted general store, the silence of Oakhaven pressed in. My flashlight cast long, dancing shadows on the shelves filled with ancient, untouched goods. And then, I heard it again. The humming. Louder this time, distinctly not the wind. It seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere, a low, resonant thrum that vibrated in my chest. My head began to ache, a dull throbbing behind my eyes, just as Dr. Thorne had described. I tried to rationalize it. Stress, fatigue, the isolated environment. But then, a faint, ethereal glow began to pulse through the large windows of the store, coming from deeper within the forest, in the direction of the cemetery. It was a soft, milky white light, almost inviting, yet deeply unsettling. It pulsed in rhythm with the humming. My body felt heavy, my thoughts sluggish, and a strange calm began to settle over me, dulling my fear. A part of me, a part one barely recognized, wanted to walk towards that light, to simply follow. I fought it. I forced myself to remember my editor's cynical face, my mission, the rational world I came from. With immense effort, I dug my nails into my palm, the sharp pain cutting through the strange lethargy. The humming seemed to shriek in protest. I stumbled to the back of the store, seeking refuge in a small, windowless storage room, pressing myself against a cold wall, trying to block out the light and the sound. I spent the rest of the night huddled there, shivering, the humming a constant presence just outside, occasionally punctuated by faint, almost imperceptible footsteps passing by the store. They were not human footsteps, they were too light, too regular, too even. My imagination? Or was I truly witnessing the phantom echoes of Oakhaven's vanished residents, drawn towards that inexplicable light? By dawn, the light was gone, the humming had receded to a barely audible drone, and the aching in my head was replaced by a dull throb. The world outside the storage room seemed normal, if chillingly quiet. I grabbed my camera, my journals, and fled Oakhaven without looking back. I submitted my story, filled with the eerie details and Dr. Thorne's journals. My editor, for once, was speechless. The article went viral, sparking amateur investigations and online theories. But a part of me remains in Oakhaven. I still hear the humming sometimes, late at night, when the house is silent. And I still dream of that pulsating, milky light in the forest, always calling, always pulling.
I never looked directly at it in my dreams.
I can't.
Because I know, deep down, that some mysteries are not meant to be solved.
Some absences are not meant to be filled.
And sometimes, the lost are simply taken.